If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are an absolute real one. I rarely do solo episodes, but wanted to do a super short one today. It is Monday, September 15th. I'm racing my second ever official marathon this Sunday, September 21st. And I'm really excited. 6 days out, wanted to document some thoughts going into race day Sunday. And I just have a platform to openly speak, dump some thoughts. These conversations are always really fun to go back to in hindsight. So I did my first ever official marathon in April, this past April 2025, and I ran the marathon with a company called Goodies. For some context and background, I essentially took the entire winter off, mainly just focused on the gym as well as Midwest winters. If you live or grew up in the Midwest, I'm sure you're familiar, are absolutely brutal. And so I was kind of sick and tired of training through cold weather, was burnt out from the sport of running, took 6 months off, really just focused on the gym. And then a company, Goodies, reached out, asked if I wanted to run the Knoxville Marathon. I somewhat reluctantly said yes, knowing that I really wasn't training for running. Trained for 2 weeks, which was a 30-mile week, and then I don't even know how many miles I ran going into race day. Essentially no training whatsoever, and ran a 3:33 marathon off of 2 weeks of training, which the goal of the race was literally to finish. I think there were doubts in my head at the time as to whether I would even be able to finish the marathon. I've been running from the age of 5. I ran really competitively in high school and in middle school, cross country and track and field. But man, 2 weeks of running is really next to nothing for a marathon. So I think there were some fears, some worries. Ultimately, ended up completing the marathon, and I was honestly thrilled, not just with the 3:33, but how easy the 3:33 felt. And I don't say that to sound prideful. There are people so much faster than myself. And if you've trained your entire life and ran a sub 5 hour marathon, kudos to you. You are much better than me. And by that, I mean the level of preparation that you probably put into your marathon is so much more impressive, and says a lot about you as a person rather than me winging it off of only 2 weeks of running. But I was honestly quite impressed that I ran a 3:33. The Knoxville Marathon is quite hilly. So I think it has like 14, between probably 13 and 1,500 feet of elevation gain, which again is not fun when you haven't been running or training. And then the day of the race was quite rainy and humid, so the weather wasn't that good. So, anyways, did my first official marathon in April. In the year before, in May, so this would have been May of 2023, I ran my first marathon unofficially, and that was just on the trail. I think I ran like 3:48 or something. I just wanted to run a marathon before I turned 19 years old. Winged it with a friend, Ethan. Shout out, Ethan. You're probably listening to this. And so first unofficial marathon, April 2023. First official marathon, April 2025. And then at some point this summer, Garmin emailed me and said they had a kind of marathon race series. They have two races. I want to say the second is in Phoenix. The first is in Toledo, Ohio. I'm from Toledo. I basically grew up in Toledo. I was born in Erie, Pennsylvania, but grew up predominantly in Toledo, ran middle school cross country track, high school cross country track in the great state of Ohio, growing up in Toledo. And I live in Columbus, so 2 hours south of Toledo, so not that far. My parents still live in Toledo. So I was like, absolutely, I'll do a marathon. I've always loved the idea of doing a marathon, both in Erie one day as well as specifically in Toledo. I think it's really cool and unique to do a marathon in the city that you kind of grew up in. And it's the city that I really fell in love with the sport of running. So I was like, yes, I will absolutely do this. With that being said, I still haven't really fully trained. I'm just so busy with work that it is so hard to justify 60-mile weeks. Slash, honestly, if I'm being super honest, I don't know if I really want to run 60-mile weeks. The level of attention and detail that you need to train at a super high level for the marathon. By that, I mean, if you're really trying to, run faster than like 2:45, it kind of becomes a second full-time job, and work building the running effect is truly my priority. It's what I'm most passionate about. It's where I want my time to go. And so I find it very hard to justify spending that much time running. That's part one to it. Part two to it is I genuinely have really enjoyed getting in the gym, putting on muscle. I think it's one of the greatest experiences you can experience as a male is putting on muscle, becoming stronger. Greatest feeling ever as a guy. If you're out there and this has happened to you, you know what I'm talking about, is when another guy who you haven't seen in a few months comes up to you and they're like, bro, you pack some muscle, you look good. Best feeling in the world. Better than any running compliment you can ever get. Way better than hearing, oh, you look fast, bro. Um, Besides the point, really enjoyed getting in the gym. I put on significantly more muscle mass. And so I'm going to the gym typically 5 days a week. You can see all my training on Strava, by the way. Dominic Schlueter on Strava, spelled Dominic Schlueter. I post almost all of my training on there. I generally go about 5 times a week. My split is like back by, next day chest try, and then like third day core and legs, and kind of just rotate. I don't really know what I'm doing in the gym, but it seems to be working. So I'm keeping at it. And I've really enjoyed going in the gym, and I'm going 5 days a week for roughly 45-ish to 60 minutes sometimes. And so I just don't have enough energy, mainly don't have enough time in the day to run at a high level and lift. I would love to be at that position. I think I can be in one day where I have time to do both, but we're in such startup mode with the podcast, with social media, with event marketing, with the company as a whole, and also thinking about other companies and all these sorts of things, that is where my time, focus, and attention is going to go to. And so these marathons for me are kind of these unique challenges that have these unique goals where I know in the back of my head I could run faster if I ultimately trained a little bit more, but that's not the point. The point is setting a goal, setting a challenge, and then going after it with what I can. And so for me going into Toledo, I knew that I wanted to PR one because I knew I could, because anything is better than the 2 weeks of preparation I had going into Knoxville. But more so, I wanted to actually kind of have a marathon time that I was somewhat proud of. And I wanted to leave a little bit more of my heart and soul out on the course. Knoxville, I ran really conservatively because I had no training under my belt. Whereas this time, if you look at my Strava, I've been consistently running, 15 to 30 mile weeks for I think around 12-ish weeks at this point. So I know what running feels like. I can move oxygen efficiently. I'm healthy. I feel pretty good overall. And so there's no excuse to not really give it a go. Do I think I've trained properly for a marathon? Absolutely not. Would I recommend how I've trained for a marathon? Absolutely not. But for me, the goal that I think will stretch me and push me, and I'd be ecstatic if I hit it, is 3:15, which is 7:26 a mile. Um, I think that's a goal where it will be very hard to achieve, but it's in my reach. And yeah, I mean, from a training perspective, highest mileage week was the week before the marathon, not the week of the marathon, the week before the marathon, where I hit 30.50 miles. I'd say the workouts, I've been doing like a lot of workouts. Again, very low mileage just because I don't have that much time, but a little more intense. And I'm running pretty fast. Like even, um, there was this one time I only had time for a 3 mile run. So I ran half a mile up and then kind of like a 2 mile harder tempo on a very kind of hilly course and went 5:43, 5:37, and then half mile down. This past Saturday, ran a lot of paces, or ran a lot of like good volume, at least for me, around the 5:50 to like 5:35 range. And so I know the base fitness is there from a speed perspective. I just have no clue how my body will hold up, after 13 miles. But that's the whole point of doing these challenges, to set a date on the calendar and push your body, and to do something that is meaningful, to do something that you can tell your kids about one day, or at the end of the year when you reflect on your year, you can go, oh, September 21st, I did something very hard. Here's what it said about who I am as a person when adversity comes up, or when things get hard. Here's how I push through, and here's how I train for this goal, or whatever it might be. I love challenges. I love the marathon. I feel like the marathon is a metaphor for life. It's like that daily grind, and some days you doubt yourself. Some days you feel on top of the world. A lot of days you dream, you believe, you daydream, you think about, all the sort of possibilities on race day or in life or whatever it might be. Running and life are best friends. Like, they go hand in hand. I think they're big corollaries for each other. And that's one of the big reasons I love this sport. But I think specifically the marathon is really special. I love the Knoxville Marathon. I love the atmosphere it brought. And so I know Toledo is like not a big city. I'm not sure how many people will be out on the course, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. And I really appreciate, Garmin for creating an opportunity in my home city for a marathon. I'm excited to participate. And speaking of Garmin, I actually worked with them going into this race. I trained basically exclusively with their Garmin Forerunner 970, which is kind of their most premium watch on the lineup. I absolutely love this thing. I think it is the best running watch, hands down, I've ever trained with. Yeah, just really, really enjoyed the process of training with like a premium GPS watch. I actually, my first ever running watch, I like saved up money from doing yard work. It's like a $70 Garmin Forerunner 25. And that basically only had GPS and like start, stop. And the Garmin Forerunner 970 has crazy stuff. Like it literally tells you how acclimated to the heat you are. It has a really cool feature called the race predictor, which says how fast it thinks you can run based off of a variety of variables. I should look at that right now. Right now, it says I can run a 18:27 5K, 1:29:59 half, 39:54 10K, and 3:19:00 marathon. Hopefully, I can prove the marathon one wrong. But this says based on your current performance, we predict you can complete these race distances with the following times. The more runs you track, the more accurate the predictions will become. They have something called training effect. They have, let's see, what else do they have? Running lactate threshold, endurance score, hill score, like how efficient you are at hill running, HRV stress, VO2 max. For those wondering, my watch says I have a 65, which I'll take. Training readiness. So a lot of that is based on like sleep and how hard your runs have been and a lot of these other things. It's just really cool to train with a watch that kind of knows everything. And then you can go into the Garmin Connect app and kind of see everything, have a really neat breakdown of everything. They also have a lot of unique health stats, blood pressure, heart rate, respiration, pulse ox, acclimation, body battery, fitness age. Like it's honestly kind of crazy the in-depth nature that watches are these days, and really appreciate Garmin for sending me this watch, for sponsoring some content going into the race, and for allowing and paving the way for me to run the race itself. Garmin's a company that I grew up with, and so it's really, really cool to be able to work with them, to partner with them, and I really appreciate their investment in me. And it's one of those dream brands I always had growing up. And so to run my second official marathon with them is going to be a lot of fun. And if you're in the market for a new GPS watch and you really want to take your running to the next level, the Garmin 970, I can't recommend enough. It comes at a steep price point, but honestly, if you're serious about your running, this is something you're going to use every day or multiple times a day if you're doubling or also going to the gym or cross training. And I really think the features of it are unbeatable. I think for me, just the accuracy of the GPS watch was a game changer. I ran with the Apple Watch a little bit over the past few months, and the accuracy is just so bad on the Apple Watch. So to be able to have a reliable source for GPS and then some of those unique features, like I really was fascinated by the heat acclimation one or the training readiness one. I think it's the most accurate wrist-based heart rate monitor I've ever used. Was really, really awesome. So I appreciate Garmin for sending that to me and sponsoring a lot of the things going into the marathon. In terms of race day strategy, for Knoxville, I played it really safe, played it really comfortable. For Toledo, I think the strategy is just going to be to maybe ease into it in the beginning, but then just try to click off as many 720s as possible, 720 to 730, and then just, get gritty when I need to. And big phrase I've always repeated in my head when hard challenges have come up is I'm always going to say in my head, this is hard. What matters most is what you say after that. So you can say this is hard and then throw in the towel, or you can say this is hard, but I can do hard things. I can keep pushing. Or, this is just pain. It's like, what did you expect? Did you expect it to be easy? You're literally running a race all out. Did you expect it to be easy? And so for me in races, when that happens, I'll say this is hard, but guess what? I can push through hard things. That's the whole point. And so this upcoming Sunday, I know it's going to get hard at some point. I plan to just push through it when it gets hard, to get gritty, to be prepared to work harder than I ever have before, to push through more pain than I ever have before. I mean, why not? There's a first place for that in my past history, and I'd like to think I'm the best version of myself I've ever been right now. So hopefully that will be the case. In terms of gear, planning right now, this could change on wearing the Alpha Fly 3s, Brooks running socks. Brooks makes really, really good socks. Either Brooks running socks or Acid running socks. Acid running is a cool up and coming brand that I've enjoyed. and their socks are really, really comfortable. So either Brooks socks or Acid Running socks. Rabbit half tights, just a staple. They have enough pockets for gels, which I really appreciate, and they're really comfortable. I've trained in them for years. Singlet, Running Effects singlet, got a rep. And if you're watching this, let's do a quick giveaway. I have never sold, outside of one in-person event, a Running Effects singlet. Let's see. You have to be subscribed on YouTube and leave a comment on YouTube, and I will pick one random winner and send them a singlet. How about that? So I'm going to wear and rep a Running Effects singlet, and then BPN hat, probably. Keep the hair back, and then gels, exclusively BPN. I do work with them in official capacity, but even if I didn't, like, I would promote their product. It's some of the best stuff in the game. And the community that comes with the company is absolutely remarkable. I'm so honored to be a part of that company. I ran the Knoxville Marathon with their gels. And so, yeah, going to run it back, have the BPN Go gels. I'll probably have some G1M Sport Plus in the morning of the race. But again, like, I'm not a professional marathoner. I don't have to overthink it. It's just kind of doing the basics, doing the staples, making sure the boxes are checked. And then I'll probably have some BPN electrolytes in the morning. I think the race might be on the hotter end, which does kind of suck, but this is where I'm grateful that I didn't put all my eggs in one basket, and it is just a marathon, and I haven't put that much weight into it. And so if it's hot, it's hot. That's okay. For you guys out there, I think a system that I'll probably implement that's nice is to have an A goal, B goal, C goal, so that if you don't hit your A goal, you don't just throw in the towel. So for me, for instance, thinking off the top of my head, A goal is 3:15, B goal is PR, or like B goal is like sub 3:20. We'll say B goal, PR, and then C goal is just like finish. And I find that helps keep you motivated it's just a good backup plan to have, quite frankly. So really excited for this marathon. I hope you guys are doing well. You can always DM me on Instagram. I try to reply to as many as possible. Hope your seasons are going well, whether that's training for marathon, racing marathons, half marathons, road races, or probably for a lot of you, cross-country races. Always appreciate you guys. Appreciate you listening to this mind dump. Really excited for Sunday. Pretty confident I can PR. The other crazy thing, I'm recording this on a Monday. I don't know why I didn't bring this up. Tuesday, tomorrow, I'm flying out to Silicon Valley to Meta's headquarters. They're flying me out for a creator event, releasing some new technology, I think publicly available, but I'm just at the event that they're announcing it. So I'll be there. I'll fly out Tuesday, have an event Tuesday evening, stuff all day Wednesday. Thursday, fly back, and then I'll have to drive up to Toledo on Friday. So quick turnaround and West Coast time. So I think the body could be pretty tired, pretty beat. But if there's one good snapshot of my life, it is that. It is go to Meta's headquarters and then run a marathon like 3 days later. Works up here in terms of priorities. Running's a little bit below it, but I try to do both. And that's what I'm going to try to do this week. Crush a Meta event and then go crush a marathon, go PR. I appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed this one, hit the follow button. A lot of exciting guests coming up and a lot of guests to be scheduled after the 2025 World Championships in Tokyo taking place right now. Also give us a 5-star review. It takes 3 to 5 seconds. And then the easiest thing you guys can do is share the podcast with a friend. Word of mouth marketing is the absolute best and greatest. I appreciate you all. Happy running. Keep crushing it. Keep turning your what ifs into realities. I will catch you in the next one. Always enjoy these jam sessions. Hopefully I made somewhat sense. I just rambled a lot here, and always good to be with you guys. Appreciate you. Peace.